here. Myself, Ali. I am a research scholar working under the supervision of Dr. Munawar Fazal sir. Kindly change the slide, please. The, here is it. No, this is different slide. Active fraction methamphetamine A from methanolic root extract of Methania somnifera on breast cancer cell line. Change the slide, please. Here is some topic that I have included in this slide. So, medicinal plant continue to play a central role in the healthcare system for a large world population. For that, preliminary screening is very much important because to develop for the development of novel, safe therapeutic agent with improved efficacy. So, why I have chosen this topic and what is the reason behind I have chosen the topic? Because still the cost of medicine for the cancer in the market is beyond the limit of common people. It is very much costly. So I am trying to focus on the plant extract preparation and the treatment of that plant extraction on the cell line. So basically I am choosing two cell lines, MCF7 and MDMB231. Basically Methania somnifera belong to a Solanaceae family, and the root extract of Methania somnifera remain a key component in the formulation of Ayurveda, Siddha and Unani. So what methodology I have used? The first one is the crude sample preparation, second one is the breast cancer cell line culture, and last one is the MTT based cytotoxicity assay. For the crude sample preparation, I have taken 50 gram of root powder of Methania somnifera, added 500 ml of methanol, and then perform successive extraction as 60-degree paste. This paste I have treated on the breast cancer cell line, that is MCF7 and MDMB231, and for these two cell lines, one medium is responsible for the culturing, and this medium is called MDMB231. So after tritification, cell get detached and we can observe under the microscope. Third one is the MTT based assay. So here is the principle of MTT based assay. Actually, what is MTT? MTT is a yellow colored dye. If the cell will die, the mitochondria will work, and after working on the mitochondria, it will produce some enzymes like dehydrogenase. This dehydrogenase enzyme go and bind with the MTT dye and produce a purple colored compound. That purple colored compound is nothing but a formazole. This purple colored compound is spectrophotometrically detected, and it gives how much intensity of the purple color. This I will read it. And here is the result of my experiment. Here we can see there are 5 test concentration I have made, plus 1 control, plus 1 standard. And the lower concentration is the 30.25. At 30.25, we can see the cell viability is 91%. That is maximum. And at the higher concentration 484, the cell viability is less. That is 11.886. And the same result comparatively I get in MCF7 and MDMB231 both. So, can you check this slide, please? So here is some morphological images that I have obtained from different concentration that I have made for the MTT assay. This is the morphological image of MDMB231 and previous one will the MCF7. Can you change this? So in conclusion, I must say after MTT assay, this extract of Methania somnifera definitely will work on the cancer cell line. So in future we can treat the patient there who are suffering from the cancer, especially women. I want to do some work in the women that are suffering from the breast cancer. So I have decided to choose this topic, and with this I would like to say thank you so much that I give opportunity to deliver my portion of my PhD thesis here. Thank you so much.
My presentation is on the topic improve the approach for synthesis of 3 allyl indole by synergetic effect of palladium and visible light photoredox catalysis. Now, as we know, indole is a very versatile molecule. It is present in a large group of medicinal plants, and It is present in a large number of medicinal plants and has been found to be important biologically. And allyl indoles are also very important. They are used as a pharmacophore. So indole, since it is so important, so scientists over the globe are trying to find new ways to synthesize this. And now my target was the formation of allyl indole. For that, I have taken substituted indole, 2,3 substituted indole in the presence of halogenated alkene and catalyst that I have used is the palladium catalyst and photoredox catalyst, that is eosine. That is a photoredox catalyst. It is very economical in nature and it has improved yield. Other method that was used before, its yield wasn't that good. Yield was used to be around 60 to 65%. Here we get 91% yield.
Do you have a pen drive?
Now I have it on my phone.
Okay, continue.
Earlier, allyl indole was prepared by treating the iodoaniline in the presence of ClCO2, and we used to get substituted indole. And then through palladium and copper catalyst, Soni-Gashari coupling reaction takes place, and we get the alkylinated indole. And then through further coupling reaction, we get the disubstituted alkyl indole. Now, result and discussion. Substituted allyl indole in the presence of, as I have already said, photoreceptor catalyst and green LED has improved yield. It is economically more feasible and it has improved yield. And I would like to take the opportunity to thank my professor, Dr. Amrita Chakrabarti, my guide, this platform ZLF for letting me showcase my work. Thank you all for your patience.
Thank you. Is anyone having any question? No. Moving to our next presentation, we would request Ruqayya Jahan Parveen to present her paper on the topic, an application of ancient knowledge for good emotional health of human leading to global peace and harmony under the heading Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam.
अक्सर आए थे हम लोगों के
रुकैया जहान परवीन.
My topic is an application of ancient
नहीं सर मेरा हर्बल के मेरी गाइड जो है उनका
An application of ancient knowledge for good emotional health of human leading to global peace and harmony under the heading Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. According to WHO report, depression, anxiety spiked 25% in the first day of the COVID-19 pandemic. This may potentially have negative impact on their mental peace, overall health, and well-being. Due to the crucial role of human in species survival and ecological stability on Earth, the various methods of emotional management for world peace and harmony are highly desirable. Human body is a biological machine. Previous researchers have mainly focused on the hardware of our body, but software part, which is an important but often overlooked aspect of human. We are aware about the national and international issues, but unluckily we are unaware of our own emotion. We have conditioned in that we are too busy in achieving outside goals that we don't have time to be aware of our own feelings. We don't have an idea to recognize our feelings. If we recognize any negative emotion within, then we don't want to accept as it is. We start denying or invalidate our feelings to fit in our society for acceptance and validation from our close ones. Once we think affects our mood and feelings. When we accept or validate our feelings, then we get ready to deal with that emotion and solve the problem from very root level. But when we are unaware or reject our feelings, then emotions start stored in our body and start hindrance and block the physiology of body and cause diseases. Emotions are our friend. Don't label your emotion as negative or positive. To accept or reject how you feel. When there is a problem in physiological process, pain acts like an indicator that there is something going wrong inside our body. As like that, when we feel negative emotion and create hurt and feeling bad, then feeling bad is indicator that there is a negative thought in your mind due to which we feel bad. By choosing right thought in every situation, you can enjoy your life. Emotions are energy in motion.
Ruqayya, please conclude your presentation.
Okay, ma'am. We can manage our emotions by meditation, gratitude technique, and can change negative thought with positive thought. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruqayya. Is there any question?
I'm available. I don't know anything about the topic on which you are working, but it has generated curiosity in me. We are talking about emotions
Yes.
and its effect on the physiology of the body. So, how do you measure this that a particular emotion at a different time emotions is not a permanent?
चीज कैसे कॉज हो रहा है, यही पूछना चाहता हूँ।
नहीं, हाँ, वो कैसे आप मेजर तो जाना हुआ परसेप्शन है कि चलो बहुत इमोशनल नहीं होना चाहिए, आदमी को ठीक ठाक रहना चाहिए, स्ट्रेस फ्री रहना चाहिए, बट यू आर डूइंग रिसर्च ऑन दैट.
Yes, sir.
So
Sir,
tell me the physiology and emotions relation. How do
Yes.
you measure that? Actually, I
Sir,
wanted to know.
सर ये मेरा रिसर्च नहीं है कि इसको कैसे मेजर करना है, बट मैं एक्सप्लेन कर रही हूँ सर आपको इसके बारे में कि सर जैसे किसी भी पर्सन का ले लीजिए, अगर किसी को ब्लॉकेज का, जैसे हार्ट में कोई ब्लॉकेज है, उसको डिजीज है, तो वो सर्जरी करा लिया, ठीक है, और ठीक हो गया, और फिर कुछ सालों के बाद सेम डिजीज उसको वही रिपीट होता है. हर इंसान का देखा जाता है कि कोई खास पैटर्न का कोई डिजीज है जो होता है, फिर वो ट्रीटमेंट लेता है, फिर उसके बाद फिर वही होता है.
तो उसका इमोशन से क्या संबंध है?
तो सर उसका इमोशन से ये संबंध है कि सर हम लोग जिस तरह का थॉट अपने माइंड में क्रिएट करते हैं, तो उससे रिलेटेड हम उस थॉट को फील कर रहे हैं अपने बॉडी में.
चलो ठीक है, anyway, टॉपिक बहुत अच्छा है, तैयार हो क्या में. इट्स इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस एंड व्हाटएवर यू आर प्रेजेंटिंग दैट इज योर थिंग. किसी का दूसरे का किया हुआ काम आप नहीं दे सकते हैं यहाँ पे, ठीक है ना?
यस सर.
ये आपने जो काम किया है वो अपना प्रेजेंट करते हैं. दुनिया ने क्या कर लिया उसको नहीं. दैट्स व्हाई आई वांटेड टू नो कि व्हाट यू हैव डन.
सर मेरा इसमें है ना कि एंशिएंट नॉलेज को जैसे
चलो,
वहाँ
ठीक है,
तक बात पहुँचते पहुँचते टाइम खत्म हो गई सर.
कोई बात
वो बताना था कि ग्रेटिट्यूड प्रैक्टिस और मेडिटेशन के थ्रू कैसे हम इमोशनल हेल्थ को बेटर कर सकते हैं सर. ये मेरा
Again, it is a vague term. I am not getting the point. You are from psychology?
नो सर.
हाँ.
सर एनिमल बिहेवियर जो हम लोग का सब्जेक्ट होता है जुअलॉजी में,
Geology से है.
हाँ, उसमें कंडीशनिंग ऑफ माइंड होता है ना.
Geology के स्टूडेंट इतना सब्जेक्टिव, this will not do. Okay, चलो कोई बात नहीं है. आप चले आगे
Yes,
बढ़िए.
sir is very right. How will you establish? You have to establish it because you are a student of science.
यस मैम. तो सर मैम जुअलॉजी फील्ड है जिसमें हम लोग एनिमल के बिहेवियर्स के बारे में पढ़ते हैं. उसमें कंडीशनिंग एक हम लोगों का होता है कि कैसे माइंड को कंडीशन किया जाए. जैसे कि कोई भी इंसान जब जन्म लेता है तो उसको एक खास प्रोसेस का थिंकिंग पैटर्न दिया जाता है. वो जिस सोसाइटी में रहता है, जिन लोगों के बीच में, जिस रिलीजियस व्यू या कल्चरल व्यू जहाँ कहीं भी रहता है, उस तरह की उसके ब्रेन की कंडीशनिंग होती है, तब वो वैसा ही सोचना शुरू करता है. कोई होता है जो शुरू से ही हर चीज़ को निगेटिव वे में लेता है किसी चीज़ को, और कोई होता है जो पॉजिटिव वे में लेता है. तो ब्रेन को कैसे कंडीशन किया जाए, कि कैसे किसी भी निगेटिव सिचुएशन में हम किस तरह का थॉट क्रिएट करेंगे जो कि हमारे लिए इमोशनल हेल्थ के लिए अच्छा रहेगा, तो वो चीज़ मैं मतलब अपने रिसर्च में दिखाना चाहती हूँ कि कैसे हम करेंगे. तो एनिमल बिहेवियर की कंडीशन कंडीशनिंग जो टॉपिक है उसके अंदर में ये आ सकता है। एक्चुअली इस पे ज़्यादा रिसर्च नहीं हुए हैं, इसलिए आप लोग को लग रहा है कि जूलॉजी का टॉपिक नहीं हो सकता है, या ऐसा नहीं है। बट दुनिया में हर एक चीज़ कहीं ना कहीं एक दूसरे से लिंक्ड है, और जूलॉजी में भी ये पोर्शन है, इसलिए मैम ये टॉपिक।
I want to interrupt. It's a geological topic, but the thing is that you have to use methods related to animal behavior, right? The methods that will demonstrate animal behavior. You have to use your methods from zoology to establish this fact. That should be in your paper.
थैंक यू मैम फॉर योर सजेशन।
I would like to invite Jahra Jabin, Khushbu Misra and Vinay Kumar Misra to present their paper on the topic Transforming Education in the World of Artificial Intelligence. Jahra Jabin, Khushbu Misra and Vinay Kumar Misra. Our next presentation, I would like to invite Ms. Saloni Sinha and consumers. Ms. Saloni Sinha.
Good afternoon, honorable dignitaries and fellow research scholars. I am Saloni Sinha, pursuing my PhD from Reed Personal University under the supervision of Professor Dr. Sunil Kumar. So here I am going to discuss my topic, that is study on green marketing practices on Indian consumers. So the practice of promoting products and services that are sustainable and eco-friendly is known as green marketing. We all know that. But the thing that we should know, that it is also a new modernized method of marketing that the companies are undertaking to attract more and more consumers in comparison to their competitors that are prevailing in that market. Green marketing incorporates a broad range of activities including product modification, changes to the production process, packaging changes, as well as modifying advertisements. Through green marketing, the companies can generate more sales, provide environmental and societal welfare at the same time. Okay? So the question here arises is, why should we adopt to green marketing? The best answer to it is, there is a growing interest among the consumers all over the world regarding protection of environment. Worldwide evidences indicates people are concerned about the environment and are changing their behavior. Their behavior as in their buying practices. Okay? So as a result of these, green marketing has emerged, which speaks for growing market for sustainable and socially responsible products and services. So I'm here going to also enumerate some characteristics of green products. To enumerate some few products that are recyclable, reusable, and
Saloni,
biodegradable.
do you have PPT of this presentation?
I'm sorry, ma'am, I'm not prepared yet. So, okay, I'll continue. I was saying there are some characteristics of green products so that we can identify the products that are really eco-friendly and to where we should be interested. So products that are recyclable, reusable, biodegradable are green products. They are the products with natural ingredients, or they do not harm or pollute the environment. The products that will not be tested on the animals, or they have eco-friendly packages. These are some few examples, few characteristics of green market that you can understand or identify them. So challenges in green marketing, I'm also here to talk about some challenges that the marketers feel during the green market process are. The number one, need for standardization. See, there are the marketing campaigns that the companies take, only 5%. It is found that only 5% of the marketing messages are entirely true. Okay, so there is a lack of standardization or authentication of their claims that they are actually going through the process of green marketing or they are doing something which is related to eco-friendly. Okay, so and the next is it is a new concept. So consumer need to be educated and made aware.
Saloni, please conclude your presentation.
Yes, ma'am. I'll make it. Just a few seconds more. It is a new concept for the consumers also, so the consumers need to be educated and made aware of the environmental issues. I have also enumerated some initiatives that the companies in India have taken for the green marketing, but as the time that we have got is a bit less, so I'll skip that and we'll move to what is the present trends of green marketing in India. So, the firms have realized that consumers prefer products that do not harm the natural environment and also the human health. Okay, so firms marketing such green products are preferred over the other companies that are not pursuing that process. The finding of the study also reflects that the people these days are more educated, literate, and show high concern over the environmental protection. So green marketing should not be just taken as a means to attract more and more consumers, but also a measure or a social responsibility of the companies that they should undertake for the.
I am Shubhi Raj, a research scholar from Padmapustra University. I am working under the supervision of Dr. Padmini Prasad Ma'am. Today my topic is growth of e-commerce in Indian marketing space and its effect on retail market. As we know, with the evolution of liberalization, privatization and globalization, the dynamic business is expanding at domestic level as well as international level. With the expansion of business market internationally, the information technology is also expanding with new ideas and innovations that are providing multiple gains for the business as well as consumers. According to Google India, there were 35 million online shoppers in India in year 2014 and is expected to cross 100 million. The consumption level is significantly increasing. Looking into Maslow's need hierarchy theory, the need level of people has increased with respect of psychological, safety, social, self-esteem and self-actualization.
Do you have PPT?
Indian organized retail sector majorly capture categories such as electronics, cosmetics, sweets, jewelry, furnishing, apparels and many more. With the enhanced consumption and working population, the e-tailing is coming into existence with rapid growth because it provides variety, discount offers, fast delivery, different brands, save times and distinguished product. E-commerce has transformed the retail environment in a more revolutionary manner. Multi-channel retailing concept is used in e-tailing as it involves manufacturers, retailers, suppliers.
Please conclude your presentation.
Okay, ma'am. As my topic is the impact of impact on retail market by merging new ideas in online marketing, I have to say that as we have nowadays we have a nuclear family in which both spouses are working. As women are working, they have more purchasing power and they ought to expend their money on different brands in supermarkets or on online mode. That's why the revenue related with the retail market is decreasing.
Please conclude.
So I have to say that the retail market also opt to change
ideas, study consumer preferences. That's why they can achieve their goals.
Thank you, Surbhi. My topic is Impact of E-commerce and Retail Business, a study of Darbhanga city.
करने दो, अभी जितना हो बहुत स्पेसिफिक सब काम करेगा।
Myself, Shweta Kumari, research scholar of Patliputra University under the supervision of Dr. Professor Ram Uday Singh sir. Today, my topic is impact of e-payment on consumer behavior and retail business. Comes to the slide of their daily purchase. E-payment systems that allow the customer the electronic means. The most popular method of e-payment are debit cards, credit cards, e-wallets, bank-to-bank transfer, prepaid vouchers. These payment methods provide convenience, speeds, increases, and profit for business. Sir, please,
ID, please, 168.
Advantage of digital payment acceptance. As we all see that today, the Google Pay UPI transactions, more than 540 million persons using Google Pay today. And we are go to the Phone Pay UPI transaction, 460 million UPI transactions are completely closed with the Google Pay. And less with the Paytm UPI transaction, we saw 120 million UPI transactions, showing a decrease in market shares. Advantage of e-payment systems for retail business. Advantage that are instant payment. As we all know that electronic payments are much faster and it takes the less time to payment to you at any time, anywhere. Better customer convenience. It is better customer convenience because electronic payment provide a convenient payment experience to customers, offering a pay later facility. Contactless. Electronic payment meets the need for contactless transaction using QR codes, one-time passwords, which are very common during the pandemic COVID-19. Higher payment security. Electronic payment system offer multiple uses of securities payments such as SSL. Transparency. Electronic payment maintains transparency in transaction, reducing chance of confusion. Potential of e-payment.
Shweta, please conclude your presentation.
You may, 2 minutes. Digital payment in India are set up to account of 71.7% of the total payment value of 2025. Till now, 35% are merchants users. Instant payment in 2020 transaction volume share in India stood at 15.6% for instant payment, showing a significant increase. Electronic payment, which are account to 22.9% of the total payment volume in 2020. Impact of e-payment on consumer buying behavior. Effectiveness of e-payment relation with retail business. The next slide. Methodology which are used in my papers are descriptive type.
Shweta, please share your results with us.
Okay, ma'am. The conclusion of my results is the study concludes that the e-payment system has influenced customers' buying behaviors. It has also influenced the retail business, serving as a key determinant of purchasing decisions. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks all.
यूपीआई आने का पहले का जो पेमेंट सिस्टम कंपैरेटिव स्टडी है दोनों का
Now and past, you see that the peoples are used if they want to purchase anything, they go to the ATMs and take the cash. That's are very risky. But everything in mobile phone. You all know that in mobile, whole world in mobile phone and cell phone. ठीक है, thank you sir. Okay.
करते हैं और ह्यूमैनिटीज का पेपर प्रेजेंटेशन शुरू करते हैं। पहला पेपर प्रेजेंटेशन है इम्पैक्ट ऑफ एजुकेशन ऑन पॉवर्टी रिडक्शन। खुशबू, रिसर्च स्कॉलर, पाटलिपुत्र यूनिवर्सिटी, पटना। प्लीज आप आए और अपना पेपर प्रेजेंट करें।
To one and all present here, trees and my fellow research scholars. Myself Khushbu, a research scholar from Patliputra University and Economics Department. The topic of my paper presentation is Impact of Education on Poverty Reduction. So I know it's a very simple topic but very important, very relevant in today's scenario. Because education, we all know, it plays a very important role in each and everyone's life. And if you see some of the data which I have done, the research on the basis of secondary data, that India suffers from a lot of poverty, which means that many people, they do not have enough money. Around 27.5% of the population was living below the poverty line in 2004 and 5. The states with the most poor in 2022-23, a look at this data reveals that Bihar is the state with the highest number of poor, with 26.59% of its population in 2022-23. The data suggests that the Bihar managed to bring down the number from 33.76% in 2019-21 to 26.59% in 2022 and 23. So these are some of the data which I have collected on poverty. And education plays very important role in poverty reduction. So the goal behind this paper presentation is to analyze the correlation between educational attainment levels and poverty rates in different regions. Also, to assess the effectiveness of various educational interventions and programs in alleviating poverty. To understand the mechanism through which education influences economic opportunities and income levels among the disadvantaged population. Education has impact on society, market, business, and economy. Impact of education on poverty reduction in India. The current data from the sources such as the World Bank and UNESCO underline the significant impact of education on poverty reduction worldwide. According to the recent statistics from the World Bank, each additional year of schooling can increase an individual's income by an average of 10%. If we go through the impact of education on poverty reduction in Patna, Bihar, in context of India, particularly focusing on Bihar and its capital Patna, education plays a critical role in addressing poverty and fostering development. So, if I go through my research methodology, this explanatory research synthesizes existing literature on the impact of education on poverty reduction, utilizing secondary data sources such as academic papers, reports, and reputable online articles. The study examines the relationship between education and poverty reduction. And the conclusion is, in conclusion, the impact of education on poverty reduction is undeniable. Education serves as a powerful catalyst for empowering individuals, fostering economic opportunities, and promoting social mobility. Through access to quality education, individuals acquire the knowledge, skill, and confidence necessary to break free from the cycle of poverty. Thank you so much.
Any question?
Thank you.
So, Salman Khurshidi midnight children. And Gita Hariharan Figurative History offers the unique perspective of world peace and harmony, different context and style. In Midnight Children particularly, Salman Rushdie explores the history of India through the eyes of the protagonist, that is the Salim Shanaik. The novel dwells into the complexities of the post-colonial India, grappling with the issues of identity, nationhood and legacy of the colonialism. Gita Hariharan Figurative History explores the theme of basically the identity, belonging against the backdrop of the contemporary India through the interconnected narratives, and the novel dwells into the life, diverse character and grappling with the legacy of the colonialism. The globalization, the novel basically dwells into the explicitity, address world peace and harmony. Both Midnight Children and Figurative History offer the rich tapestries of the human experience, and the historical consciousness of invited readers reflects on the complexities of the peace and harmony. The basic objective behind it that Midnight Children just pursue the world peace and movement through the narrative, reflecting the human history and diverse culture of the India. At the last, I would like to conclude. Both aims to address the post-colonial concerns and break free from the colonialism. It also highlights the observed difficulties and even impossibilities of completely avoiding the impact of the colonizer and those who are colonized. The imaginative storylines of both the story revolves around the delicate times of the life to the other modern author. In the title, basically, it piqued the readers and the interest and served as the first distinguishing element. Since we are destroying ourselves, we don't need the forgiveness to destroy us right now. The religious fanatics and now self-styled God spreading their own brands and religious dogma. Thank you.
Well, both the novels, Midnight Children and Figurative History.
Ma'am, basically Midnight Children is the story of the Salim Shanaik, which describes the story when he was born during the 1947, during the midnight. And the whole story is just goes according to the age of the, and shows the partition, okay, India partition. And in Figurative History also there is a Godhra riots that has been discussed by Gita Hariharan. So both the novel just shows the war perspective, that this should not be happens in the society again, so that there should be not another type of scenario that should be repeated again and again. Thank you.
From Gurukuls to grammar schools, navigation, social realism and gender roles.
Research scholar, Department of English from Patliputra University. Today I stand before you to shed the light on the topic from Gurukuls to grammar school, navigating social realism and gender roles into British educational history in the realms of Queen Victoria. As we stand on the cusp of new era of education, it is imperative to draw attention to our roots and weave them into the fabric of contemporary educational framework. India, with its rich cultural heritage, has always valued education as a means of awakening and societal progress. The Gurukul was India's home education around 5000 BC, where Sisya and Guru are resided in the Guru Ashram and close proximity. This allowed not only an emotional bond but also the better development of holistic development of any students. Learning wasn't only read books and gather information but also incorporate the holistic development. As history unfolded, the British Empire expansion brought a fusion of Eastern and Western philosophy. The interweaved educational history of India and Britain have witnessed a captivating journey through cultural exchange such as adaptation, evolution, etc. In the realm of Queen Victoria, educational landscape underwent significant transformation, such as establishment of universities like Kolkata, Madras, and Bombay, etc. in 1857. This marked the beginning of new chapter of Indian education. This education wasn't aimed to provide the education to the Indians rather than serve the purpose of colonialism. However, it is crucial to recognize that success of any education system does not in the policies, but in their effective implementation. While the new era of education 2020 outlined ambitious goals such as success will depend on equitable access of quality education for all. At the end, I want to say it is imperative to strike a balance between preserving our cultural heritage and embracing innovation to ensure that every children of India have opportunity to realize their full potential. Thank you. According to my opinion, I think Gurukul is the foundation of any education. We can gather the spiritual education from Gurukul, and from there we can inspire our new education policy 2020. Because in education, patience is must, and Gurukul taught that education patience is important for education. Thank you.
My name is researcher scholar department English. My name is Sanjeev Kumar, researcher scholar department of English, Bharatiya University, Patna, Bihar. The title of my paper is Weaving Wisdom, Utilizing a Graphic Novel to Encourage the Implementation of Indian Knowledge and Tradition for Sustainable National Development and Global Harmony. As we know that India's vast knowledge and traditions always could lead mankind to a sustainable and peaceful future. This tradition provides timeless knowledge about living in harmony with nature, social justice, and a spiritual well-being that may be utilized today. But in a digital era, how can we keep this old tradition relevant and accessible? Graphic novels, a unique combination of visual narratives and words, may convey this timeless principle to modern audience. Its appealing image and engaging storytelling make complicated concepts accessible and inspirational. But this isn't just about pretty pictures. It's about how these graphic novels tackle big questions that resonate today. How do they reimagine ancient tales to speak to our modern struggles with sustainability, fairness, and unity? How do they invite readers to explore the rich tapestry of Indian culture and wisdom? And perhaps most importantly, how do they inspire us to think differently about our world and our place in it? Through the various academic analysis of narratives of three remarkable works, that is Adi Parivar by Amrita Patil, Bhimayana by Subhash Bairam, and Chanakya of Serpents and Kings by James Pitti and Rajesh Nagnakunda. The paper will go into the future to find the answers of above questions and to understand how these tales breathe life into age-old Indian knowledge and tradition. This paper also advocates for the integration of graphic novels into educational curricula and cultural initiatives, envisioning a world where the wisdom of past harmonizes with the aspiration of future. While analyzing the book Chanakya of Serpents and Kings, I came to know that its theme is of political intrigue, manipulation, and the quest of power, which are the fundamental to Chanakya's life and influence. The graphic book depicts Chanakya as shrewd strategist who uses his intelligence and cleverness to maneuver through the intricate political environment of ancient India. The engaging narrative approach of Chanakya combines historical truth with fictional storytelling, showcasing one of the book's strengths. The visual component of Chanakya are essential for communicating its subject complexity and emotional resonance. The graphic novel has powerful line work, innovative character design, and elaborate backdrop that capture the grandeur of ancient India. Color and lighting enhance the mood and atmosphere of the tale, intensifying the suspense and drama of pivotal movements. The graphic novel uses visual symbolism and iconography to communicate complex topics and themes, enhancing the reader's comprehension to the story. Okay. The study indicates that graphic novels can promote Indian knowledge and customs for sustained national development and world peace. Analyzing work like Adi Parva and Chanakya demonstrates how graphic novels may interpret old stories, address current topics, and stimulate fresh viewpoints and understanding. The paper promotes incorporating graphic novels into educational curricula and cultural activities to create a future where historical knowledge aligns with future goals. Graphic novels may captivate and instruct audience of all ages by using visual storytelling, promoting a great understanding and administration of Indian culture and history. Thank you.
Well, Sanjeev, in this digital age, how would the knowledge of the ancient India would help us?
Through the graphic novel, then the book like the epic like Mahabharata and Ramayana can be translated into the medium of the blend of image and text. It will enhance the interest of the reader, and they will like to read more and more about these books, and so they can gather the information that was used previously, and they can implement in their life too.
Literature as a medium for collective recovery from pandemics.
Good afternoon, all the honorable dignitaries and my dear research scholars. My name is Mamta Singh, a research scholar from Pataliputra University. The title of my paper is Cultural Trauma and Healing, Literature as a Medium for Collective Recovery from Pandemics. The paper explored the role of literature as a medium for collective recovery from pandemics and study cultural trauma and healing through the lens of two significant works, The Plague by Albert Camus and A Journal of the Plague Year by Daniel Defoe. In Camus' The Plague, the fictional town of Oran becomes a microcosm of how society responds to an epidemic, offering a profound exploration of the human condition. This work acts as a literary mirror reflecting the collective trauma experienced during a pandemic. Daniel Defoe's A Journal of the Plague Year provides a historical account of the 1665 bubonic plague in London. Through meticulous documentation, Defoe captures the social impact of the epidemic, outlining the responses of individuals and communities. The narrative works as a cultural artifact, offering insights into how societies deal with trauma, cope with loss, and eventually heal. The paper further explored the transformative power of storytelling in facilitating collective recovery, emphasizing the ways in which literature helps communities make sense of their shared experience. Drawing parallel between the selected work and real-world pandemics, the paper offers valuable insights into how narrative can contribute to shared understanding, foster empathy, and contribute to the healing process on both individual and social level.
Now you can conclude your paper. Okay, I have a question for you. What is the finding of your research?
The finding of my research is that that both these works written by one Albert Camus and second one Daniel Defoe helps us to cope with pandemic. We found many instances in this book which shows how humanity deals with pandemic in the past.
Okay, thank you. Of Kumar Kundan Sinha. The title is The Role of Education in the Lives of Transgender Individuals in India, Empowerment, Inclusion and Challenges.
My name is Kumar Kundan Sinha, research scholar at Pataliputra University. My topic of my research is the role of education in the lives of transgender individuals in India, empowerment, inclusion and challenges. Education plays a pivotal role in the lives of transgender individuals in India, offering not just knowledge but a pathway to empowerment, acceptance, and a bright future. For many transgenders, education is not just about gaining skills or qualifications. It's about reclaiming dignity and forging a place in society that has often pushed them to the margins. Education helps Indian society accept transgender people. Educational institutions may promote transgender rights and struggles, developing tolerance and understanding. Inclusive schools assist transgender kids and foster safety in societies. It also helps transgenders overcome economic disadvantages. Education and skills training may help transgender persons find better jobs and reduce their dependency on informal, exploitative revenue. Transgenders benefit from economic independence, which boosts the nation's economy. Despite the significance of education, transgender Indians face substantial impediments to proper education. Transgender kids drop out due to school discrimination, stigma, lack of inclusive policies, and harassment. Okay. In conclusion, the role of education in the lives of transgender individuals in India is multifaceted, encompassing empowerment, inclusion, and formidable challenges. While education serves as a catalyst for social change and personal growth, its potential remains unrealized in the face of systematic barriers and societal prejudices. Moving forward, concerted efforts are needed to dismantle barriers, promote inclusivity, and ensure that education becomes a catalyst for positive change in the lives of transgender individuals across India. By fostering a culture of acceptance, equity, and respect, education can pave the way for a more inclusive and equitable society where all individuals, regardless of gender identity, can thrive and fulfill their aspirations. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Kundan, your topic is very, very interesting. But do you think that economic empowerment, economic independence, education can empower these transgenders to, well, get empowered in the society, get included in the society?
Yes, ma'am. It may help if they, as we take example of Lakshmi Nehru Party. She is a transgender and working for their community, and she is also educated. So education plays a pivotal role to empower them.
Economic independence?
Yes, ma'am.
Economic independence?
Yes, ma'am. They can, if they get education, they can put any business, or they can enroll in any schools and any colleges, and even I think in Kerala a transgender judge is appointed. I don't remember the name, but I.
Okay, thank you. Come and sign.
Next is Pooja Sharma. Next is Divakarni and Kavita Kani.
University. Today we are here to attend 29th International Research Conference, and the title of my research is Harmonizing Myth and Modernity in the Selected Novels of Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni and Kavita Kani. So, Indian mythology is a cultural legacy embodying the accumulated knowledge of past generations, rather than just a set of tales. Our mythology embodies a vision of global peace and harmony achieved via a triumph of dharma over adharma to restore balance and order. Reinterpreting ancient mythical writings with contemporary perspectives may connect the past and the present, thereby influencing national development and promoting global peace and harmony. This article examines the literary work of Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni and Kavita Kane to analyze how their writings reflect themes of knowledge, vision, tradition, and connections for social progress and world harmony. The idea of their works strongly fits with India's concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni and Kavita Kane are prominent authors who have reached contemporary literature with their mythological novels, offering readers a fresh perspective of Indian epics and myths. Their works are celebrated for weaving together the rich tapestry of Indian culture, tradition, and history.
They also highlight the timeless values and lessons embedded within these stories. Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni's novel often explore themes of love, duty, sacrifice, and quest for self-realization. One of her most acclaimed works, The Palace of Illusions, retells Mahabharata.
Now you can conclude.
Yes, ma'am. Both Divakaruni and Kane deeply value the rich heritage and moral complexities embedded in Indian mythology. Traditionally, Indian mythology has been a vehicle for imparting ethical and philosophical lessons. By reimagining these stories, Divakaruni and Kavita Kane not only preserve these lessons but also prompt readers to reflect their application in today's context. Their novels are a testament to the enduring legacy of these ancient stories, illustrating how they continue to offer guidance and inspiration in modern world. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes, Pooja.
How would you relate the complexities of the psyche of Urmila, Lakshman's wife, with that of modern women?
Ma'am, when Lakshman went to exile with Ram to accompany him, then Urmila is shown in the novel as human being who has her own love, anger and fury. And she says, and I quote, "You cannot stay back for me because your brother is more precious than your wife. You are not like your father to listen to his wife, are you?"
Thank you. Now please come and smile.
Thank you.
His topic is Exploring Indian Partition Narratives, Unveil Shared Values in a Globalized World.
Research scholar of Patliputra University. My research paper topic is Exploring Indian Partition Narratives, Unveiling Shared Values in a Globalized World. The partition of India in 1947 is like a significant event in modern history, characterized communal violence, displacement, and the birth of India and Pakistan. This paper investigates the narratives surrounding the partition to uncover common values amidst diverse experiences. Using a multidisciplinary approach, examines including historical analysis, literary criticism, and sociological perspectives. The study examines the evolution of partition narratives and their impact on contemporary discourse through the analysis of literature, films, and oral histories from both sides of the world. The research identifies universal themes, emotions, and ethical dilemmas that transcend geographical and cultural boundaries. Additionally, it explores how these shared values can promote empathy, understanding, and reconciliation in an interconnected and globalized world. By contributing to peace building, intercultural dialogue, and the promotions of shared humanity, this paper aims to encourage unity across diverse communities. Diverse experiences arises from the partition. The partition unleashed a wave of violence and displacement, leaving millions of people uprooted from their homes and communities. The narratives of partition survivors encapsulate a spectrum of experiences ranging from...
Now conclude.
Amidst the divergent narratives of partition, there exist shared values that resonate across borders and cultures. In today's globalized world, where divisions and conflicts continue to persist, the partition narratives offer valuable insights to the power of empathy and reconciliation. By acknowledging the shared values embedded with these narratives, we can strive towards healing the wounds of the past and fostering greater understanding and cooperation among diverse communities. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Hassan, you have discussed 4 narratives, Pinjar, Tamas, Ice Candyman, and Azadi. Of these 2, we have beautiful films also, Pinjar and Tamas, isn't it? Now, the values in all these 4 narratives are just the same. With what values would we, the modern age people, reconcile?
There are so many open war and cold war is happening all over the world. And the story of all the narratives will give inspiration to all the world that what should happen and what will happen in today's in modern history, modern world. that it should know by these stories the globalized world and modern history in this time people and world will learn that it should not be happened. This will be the inspiration of the life. Thank you.
Come and sign.
And my dear research scholars, good morning to one and all present here in the auditorium hall. I, Rahul Kumar, research scholar, Department of English, Patliputra University, Patna.